Yes, people, what's going on? What's going on, man? We're back with another live, back with another stream, man. You know what I'm saying? Back with Premier League football. We can actually analyze some football. It's been a minute, you know what I'm trying to say. We've actually got a debut today for man like CJ. CJ actually watches the show and got in contact and wanted to share his views on what he thinks of what's going on at the minute. You know what I'm saying? So what are you saying, CJ? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. How yourself? How about yourself? Big up to them as usual. Been watching this content for a minute, so I'm familiar with what you guys got going on.
Yeah. No, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you've got to say because CJ's actually got his YouTube as well. So people, I'll add that into the description. We've got man like Jem as usual. Jem, what's going on, bro? You good?
Thanks for having me as always, bro. I love coming on here. Good discussions. That's what I like. Good, healthy discussions, you know. So yeah, let's get into it, man.
Facts. And AJ, you know, back by popular demand and that. What are you saying, bro? You good?
Big up, my guys. What up, Don? Big up the chat. Appreciate you having me, you know.
Every time, man. Listen, we've got about 38 people in here already. Make sure that you're smashing up the likes. Let's go through the chat, see what some people are saying. Because listen, we've got a lot to get into, man. Like I've put in the title, we've got Felix. Obviously, we've got the Bomba yesterday for him. We've got the performance that we're going to speak about. You know, what we thought about the game. Obviously, the fans like Mr. HD, he is saying as well. We'll speak about that. Sancho has been mentioned as well as potentially someone that we might be looking at. I don't know what we'll get you guys' thoughts on it as well. And Sterling, obviously, that's a massive thing. We see my man come out of a big novel before the game, which was mad to me. But we'll speak about the whole Sterling situation as well. But like I said, let's quickly go through the chat, see what people are saying, man. You got Mr. HD saying the home support is so fucking bad. How do you boo your team after the first game of the season, acting like spoiled, entitled brats who don't get their way? It's embarrassing, bro. It is embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing, bro. And like I said, we'll chop it up. We'll speak about it. We've got the failed wizard in here as well. Actually, I'll bring some of these back up when we start speaking about these things here. We've got AJ in here. Big up the chat. Big up my bro. But listen, let's get straight into it, people. Let's get straight into it, man. Like I said, we've got 64 people in the house now. Make sure that you're subscribing and liking the show as well, people. But listen, what did you not think of the performance straight away, Jem? What did you think of the performance the other day, bro? Because for me, I didn't walk away from the bridge because I was actually there on Sunday. I didn't walk away from the bridge feeling as if it was the worst performance. I looked at that performance like something that we can build from. You know, it was very clear to see where Maresca went wrong, and it was very clear to see where the players individually in terms of the performance went wrong. You know, for me, I felt like Maresca, he gave too much respect to Pep. I felt like he wanted a little bit more control because he was playing at home. Obviously, he knows Pep wants to control the ball as well. I felt like he took away the directness that we tend to have on the wing. Because like I kept telling you lot before we had Maresca, I said he likes touchline wingers. And we saw that in pre-season. He kept playing Madueke. You know, he kept playing Sterling. He kept playing guys that want to be direct and run at their man. But for this game, he had Palmer right wing, which I predicted he would do. But I thought on the left, he would at least have a Neto there, at least have a Sterling there, at least have a Mudryk there. But unfortunately, he went for Nkuku. And for me, both him and Palmer were very ineffective, bro. You know, it wasn't good to see the dynamic that Man City had. They had Savinho running at guys. You know, they had Doku killing Gusto. I've never seen Gusto get cooked like that ever, right? And I just saw a stat earlier today as well. He was beaten the most by any defender in the whole Prem this weekend, bro. That goes to show you what Doku was doing to this guy. He absolutely fried him. And that's what I wanted to see from our wingers, to run at their centre-backs that play at fullback, you know. But in the game itself, I thought off the ball, we looked a lot better. I felt like, you know, in terms of defending on the transitions, it wasn't like what I was seeing in pre-season. There wasn't all this space for Man City to run through because we saw it against Celtic. We saw it against Wrexham. We were bad defensively, but I thought it was actually quite good for most of the game. But again, little bit of concentration at the back. Moments is what happens at the back every single time. Sanchez, every single time. You know what I'm trying to say? Colwell, not getting aggressive enough every single time, you know? But like I said, it's something to build from, bro, because we held our own and Man City actually had a low block for most of that game as well. And that shows me that they know that we've got dangerous players because they had to sit back. And I've only ever seen Man City really do that against Arsenal last season. If you guys remember when they sat back here, when they played them at the Emirates. That was the first time in recent time where I've seen Man City do that. So like I said, there's a lot to build from, man. But Jem, what did you think of the game the other day, bro?
Just to add on what you said there, I do think though, like even if we did score, I think they probably would have had a gear or two to go up still watching them, because I do think they were a little bit reserved in their game, Man City, as well. And I think they were kind of like coaching it quite well. However, I looked at the lineup. I had no issues with the lineup. My issue with it mainly was the utilization of the midfield, like the positions where people will find themselves on the midfield. The thing that I always moan about with the goals is the individual, the lack of concentration, the lack of awareness around them, you know, in the moments where they need to be aware when it comes to the defense. And it's not just Fofana and Colwill, it's all of them. From what I've even seen in pre-season, they have this kind of like, they have this slow response to danger. Like until the ball arrives where it needs to arrive, then they go, oh, we need to move, guys, run. You know, like, and I don't like that. To be a top defender, a controlling defender, which I think we're lacking a little bit. I think you need to have that that awareness around you. You know, you need someone that can actually see the game, you know, read the game very well. Thiago Silva was very good at doing that when he was at Chelsea. You know, he always seemed to position himself in good positions and stuff. And listen, look, I thought the game went well. I don't think it was bad as some Chelsea fans and rivals have say it was, in terms of, you didn't really affect Man City. They were just more laid back, and you didn't. Yeah, like partially, I hear what they're saying, because with the lack of the offensive outpoint, the lack of wingers on the pitch at the time, especially for the first half going into the second, you know, you could have thrown maybe Palmer and Kunku into middle, put Madueke on the right, and obviously that would come on later. But like, you know, it was very hard to sort of judge us too much, because we're up against the best team for the last 5-6 years, right? By hands down, because of who it is. So I wanted to just see the chemistry. I wanted to see how compact we was throughout the game, if we could be compact enough throughout the game. I wanted to see offensively how we played, and I think we struggled a little bit in moments. But however, when we did break through the press, and there was a high press from Man City, by the way, with at least 6 players running at us at the front to the 2 pivots. Once we did break that and we found the balls into the Palmers or the Nkunkus, is where we looked a little bit dangerous. So maybe we could have been a little bit more braver in the game, and maybe he could have maybe thrown on an extra offensive player near the end, and we could have gone for it. But at the same time, I think he just, for me, in the first game against Man City, I think it was more of just an experimental phase for him. But the way he took Nkunku off when I feel like he shouldn't have, and put Neto on, was more of a like for like, you know, and then putting KDH on kind of killed the whole idea of us actually even trying to play another attacker, because it's, you know, effectively Enzo got moved back in. You've kind of not got that same, you know, for me, like Palmer there or Nkunku there, if that makes example. Yeah. So, you know, it was okay to see. I ain't going to criticize him on game one. I think there is areas that we still need to improve on, which is normal, because it's a new manager, it's a new system. There's some players that hadn't played ball or even had a preseason in Jackson, who was up front, and Palmer to a degree, right, that were coming back in. And then Maresca said himself, Palmer and Jackson have not even played together on the pitch, you know. But these are things that I think we have to wait for, you know. Yeah, but these are the things you have to wait for, you know. And this is why I'm saying, you know, we lost to the best team in the league. However, was it a devastating loss? No. Did we see something to maybe look, you know, that looks potentially that we can work on moving forward? Yeah. So I think we just have to see how it goes from there.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. You're spitting a lot of facts about the game, bro, and obviously what a lot of Chelsea fans have been saying about it as well. But AJ, what did you think of the dynamic in the midfield, bro? Because when I saw that lineup, I honestly thought it would be Enzo in the left half space as one of the 8s, and then you'd have Caicedo as the other 8, and then Lavia in the 6, and then maybe you'd have Caicedo dropping back on the transition, helping Lavia out. But it looks like Maresca wanted a little bit more protection in front of the centre backs, where he had a pivot of Caicedo and Lavia protecting, and they did a really good job. But as you know, Enzo is not a 10, you know, and that's something that the Feld Wizard, big up yourself, bro. He says here, we must put Nkunku in the 10. I don't want to see him on the left again. What did you think of that midfield dynamic, bro? Offensively, did you like what you were seeing?
Well, I mean, once the lineup went out, you know, I think even in the chat we spoke about it. It was clearly a safe type of tactic where, you know, let's keep control, like you said. Let's try to keep it, you know, balanced as much as possible. keep Man City out, because that's a dangerous team. That's the best team in the league. But at the same time, we did play with like a double pivot. So that means one of the midfielders is going to be playing in the 10 role. Obviously, when you look at Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, none of them are number 10s naturally, So right then and there, that's a problem. Now, you can get away with it sometimes, but in the general, it's not going to work as fluent as you want it to. And that it showed in the game, So I understand why he did it, but a lot of times when you do this type of stuff, it ends up not working most of the time. You end up just delaying the inevitable. So I do think, although Enzo did get into some spaces, he did have some chances that he could have did better with. You see why that's not his forte. You understand? It would have been better, like Phil.
Remember, AJ, remember last season when Poch had him crash in the box, the way the guy would just be kicking it in row Z, bro. Every shot he's having is going to row Z, row E. You know what I'm trying to say? Just off the pitch. He's not good at it. He's not good at it.
You take away his strengths. He's not that guy to be pushing the box like that. He's somebody to trail later in the box. So it's it's something that, again, it was just playing Man City on the first day as a new manager. It's not the fairest tie for you, so it's very hard to take a lot from that fixture, and then you understand why he did certain things that he did. But at the same time, after the game, hindsight is always correct. You're like, why did this guy do this? But he tried something, it didn't work. There were other mistakes he did in terms of personnel. That's what I would say. We go on to that when we get there, but it didn't help us. That's what I say.
Yeah, no, facts. And CJ, what did you think of the in-game management, bro? Like, obviously, the first half, I guess you feel like what kind of Jem said, I've said as well, and AJ. What did you think of the in-game management, bro, from Maresca watching this game?
For me, so once the second half started, in my head, I was kind of like, yo, get Palmer off and bring Madueke in. My only thing was, it kind of looked like, I definitely would have made that change, because I don't really think he really added much to that game, if I'm being honest. And even if you don't want to take Palmer off, you want to move him central and bring a wing option in. I don't think Palmer had a great game. I don't think Nkunku had a great game. I don't think Enzo had a great game. So for me, once you brought Neto on, I would have brought Madueke on as well. Because then now you can actually have someone beating their fullbacks one-on-one. The same way Doku and Savio just kept cooking out fullbacks. You have to kind of give them the same kind of pressure. So he left Palmer on for me too late, left Enzo on for me too late. I think potentially that's probably where we kind of lost that game, because I know people are not really like the biggest Madueke fans, but he comes on and he does make an impact. So that was a change I was looking for him to make, and then he never made it. So I think that's where we were always going to lose against Man City. Like, if you ask 10 out of 10 people, at least 9 or 8 would have said, yeah, you're not getting a result. So I'm not even mad at the fact that we lost. It's just bringing Drewsbury Hall in for me. I sort of understood it, but I was kind of like, yo, you're not really giving City that much pressure. Everything was in front of them. So
yeah, exactly.
It was in front of them. No one was taking on anyone really. How many times did Palmer take on a fullback? How many times did Nkunku beat what's his name? Rico.
Lewis. There was a couple times I'm looking at Palmer, he was getting the ball in a lot of space. If you remember, Enzo played a few passes to him, where he was getting the ball in space. And I'm looking at someone like a Madueke that will run into that space. Whereas Palmer, he'll run into it a little bit, cut back, try whip it in. Cut back, try pass it back to the midfield. And that's why from day one, I've always said I prefer Palmer centrally. People calling me deluded. Oh, he's not a 10, he's a right winger. I said, bro, I've been watching this guy. I know what he's like. For me, he's best down the middle. That's his best position because he's very creative, But yeah, I think for me, I think Palmer should have stayed on. I think Palmer should have gone more central. Then you probably take Enzo off. And then you bring on Madueke on the right. Or if you want to take Enzo off, you can bring in Nkunku into the midfield and then play Neto left wing, because I thought Neto was a little bit different on that side. But again, by then Man City just locked off the game, and Rico Lewis, he was good, bro. But Jem, listen, we had problems with our defense again in moments. I think for me, I think the whole game, for most of the game even, I think Colwill and Fofana, they looked better than what we usually see from them. I think in large parts, Fofana looked like the Fofana of old. You know, he was getting very tight to Haaland. He wasn't letting Haaland spin. There was a time when Doku tried to run past him and Fofana just sprinted past him, bro. And the ball ran off. Yeah, and I was actually a bit skeptical about what Fofana we're going to see when it comes back in terms of his pace. Because, bro, when you hurt your knees like that, 3 big injuries in one season, most of the time you lose your pace. But he still looked quite quick, especially when you're watching him in person. He still looked quite quick. So overall, I wasn't angry with their performance at the back. But again, bro, lapses of concentration just killed us. You know, what do you think these defenders need to do, bro, going forward to improve? Because they need to improve quick.
I think at the moment, the only thing we have to do is, I think we're going to have to do anyway, is allow them time, but at least to have build up some sort of chemistry, because we have never seen Fofana Colwill. If that's to be the two that's going to lead the, you know, at the back for Chelsea, then, you know, this is the two that I think needs to be given time. And with time, I think we'll be able to work out whether it works or not. And I know it sounds really basic, but I think it really is as basic as that, because at the end of the day, the more that they build up the chemistry, the more we see them in this system, the more that they learn and adapt and whatever, the more they pick up fitness, the more that they've heard, then we can start saying, well, what are they missing? What are we missing? That's maybe why we're conceding goals, for example. And I still have all of them. You know that. I'm not a fan of any of our defenders, really. Like, I'm just not. Like, Colwill doesn't appease me in any way. I just think he's very easy to turn against, and he doesn't press well. And like, even with the Kovacic goal, he kind of just stands there, and he could have just come out and shut it, you know, gone into the tackle or saying, stop the shot. He didn't. You know, Fofana, I thought had a good game. I just think with Fofana, sometimes his lack of positional awareness sometimes just switches off, because he'll just go to a ball but forget about the space behind. And we saw it against Inter Milan where it called
it's not what he says, AK as well. Big up AK. You know, he says it here. It says Fofana reminds me of David Luiz. He roams into midfield a lot and leaves the other centre back on an island. You make a good point, bro, but that's where Jim's talking about chemistry. If Levi knows that Fofana is going to press into the midfield, he needs to be in a position where he's covering him, because you don't want a situation where he's getting done on that transition as well, bro.
Not even just that. Fofana needs to know when to do it for me. It's not about just doing it all the time and leaving your defence that's maybe set in a way to maybe cope, or at least allow the midfield to drop back in to help, you know, rather than just jumping out all the time and we're scattered everywhere, you know. And that's what I think he has to learn. And then I look at the others and I don't feel like we've seen enough of Tosin, to be quite honest with you, to actually have that sort of like decision on whether he's a leader or is he one that steps up and someone plays next to him. You know, you look at him and you think he's tall, he's strong, he's good with the ball at his feet, he can play out, he does all these things. But again, I think he lacks that sort of awareness as well sometimes. And I've watched him in pre-season of like danger, and that worries me a little bit. And then you look at the other two, and you know my thoughts on Badi Chile. I just think, again, maybe he needs a bit more time to get back to being fit, but he's awareness of danger is probably the worst out of all of them, in my opinion, to be quite honest with you. He just seems to just switch off too much for me. And the Sassy, well, not Sassy, because we've not even seen him over pre-season. What are we even doing with this guy at the moment? Because he's not even getting a team with a high line system like Maresca's with his pace, by the way. That's what we got to think, you know. So yeah.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And AJ, obviously we've got a game on Thursday. What are you expecting to see in that game, bro? What changes do you want to see?
I mean, I want to see. First of all, I want to see some wingers. I want to see Neto and Madueke on that field. You know, I want to see us play with dynamic players, because, again, this system that we're using, we need wingers that are very dynamic, that could beat their men, that could get a shot off, that could play an accurate cross, you know when to defend, know when to get forward. So I want to see two wingers, like natural wingers. And I want to see a natural 10, whether it's Nkunku, Palmer, Felix. I don't know if he'll be there by then. You know, I want to see these type of players in the system, you know, especially we're playing a lower team. I think we need to go for it. And this is a trophy we need to win. We have to win the Conference League. So
Facts.
It has to happen.
No way about it, bro. No way about it, bro. I'm surprised. CJ, I'm surprised. I was literally just about to say that, CJ. I'm surprised AJ got onto that last, because for me, Sanchez is a big hazard, CJ. Yeah, this
Thanks.
guy, we're not gonna leave the hood with my man. You know what I'm trying to say? And most people won't really know much about Jorgensen, yeah, but I'm lucky because I've got Wire Scouts, so I can watch a lot of the games back. And I told these guys at the beginning, he gives me Kepa vibes in terms of how he parries the ball. But overall, in terms of how he plays, his shot stopping is actually not that bad. I've seen this guy making a lot of good saves for Villarreal last season, yeah, and they were bad defensively. They conceded over 60 goals, you know, which most keepers won't be able to handle, bro. If you have your shots pammed at you all the time, not even Alisson can handle it all the time. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But ultimately, what I've always said about him is that he's very good on the ball. And even in pre-season, when he's getting the ball punched at him, he's just touching it down as if he's an outfield player at times. And that's what we need from the back. You know, I said, I don't think he's the best shot stopping. I think he's decent, but I do think he'll help us play better because playing out from the back is something which is very key for Maresca, bro. So what did you think of Sanchez's performance the other day, bro? And do you want to see Jorgensen come in now on Thursday as well as at the weekend?
Honestly, for Thursday's game, right? I was gonna go with like the likes of your Mudrigs, your Nonis, but then I'm thinking about even just center back partnerships. I would like to see Fofana and Cole start that game because, like you guys said, I think it's going to be consistency, game time, especially with these two guys to build that kind of relationship. So any opportunity you get to play these two guys, play them together. I don't expect us to really have to struggle a lot on Thursday. So this should be a perfect opportunity to let these guys kind of still build that communication together, learn how each other plays. I'll play Jorgensen because, again, Sanchez, dude, he's been scarring me since Arsenal of last year. Since our Arsenal game, I've been wanting this guy out of this club. I'm so sorry, bro. Like,
bro, I was sitting next to Jem. The way me and Jem were fuming, bro, yeah, when that happened. Jesus Christ, bro.
Nah, Sanchez has to go. Jorgensen, for me, this should be his game where he goes, okay, I'm here now. This is my position. And again, I don't know if it's going to be Serviette that's going to challenge him. But some of these little things like not kicking the ball out of play, being able to play the ball into midfield, finding players. If he can do that in this game for me, I think he has to start the Wolves game. I wouldn't really play Neto in this game only because, look, I know his injury record is not the best. And against Serviette, it's not someone I'm going to be willing to risk. You play the likes of your Mudrigs. Look, if you want to play Palmer in this game to build his match fitness, because he didn't really play preseason at all, he definitely shouldn't have started that game anyway. Let him get this game 90 minutes to build that fitness, build that sharpness, so that, the weekend, we're good to go. But Sanchez, he should not be in this team. I'm sorry.
Facts. But listen, people, make sure that you lot are still smashed up the likes. Like I said, we've got 206 people in the house. Let's quickly go through this super chat here because A6 says, do you man think Palmer is being turned into a system player? Jem, what have you got to say to A6, bro?
How are we judging that already? Because it's been one game. I can't even work out. I can't work out if this... listen, he's got a system and there's a structure. Every manager has that. Don't get me wrong. I do think there's an element of freedom still for the players that are playing in that role, in my position, in what I think I've seen over pre-season. But I think it's still early doors, A6, to be working out if he's being turned into a system player. He's not even fully fit yet. He's only played, 1.5 games or something. Do you know what I mean? So I think we should wait, to be honest with that.
I think it's a good question, though, and I think you could see just how the game played out. At least, again, it's the first game. He didn't have the freedom of the pitch like he usually has, maybe because we had 3 central midfielders, so it's kind of crowded. Then you have Nkunku, who also wants to come central, so it was kind of crowded in the midfield if you look at it. So like we said, it was begging for a winger, but it is early to tell. But I did respond to this in the chat and I said, don't be surprised if he does.
But you know what it is too, like, even though Palmer didn't have a great game, him still drifting into midfield, he was still playing some of those balls to some of these guys, right? So
he played the most progressive passes, actually. Which was mad.
He's still finding his man with those, like, needle through the eye type of pass. And for me, he's one of those guys, like, you can start him in a certain position, but you just understand that he's too intelligent and he has that much quality. So he could always kind of roam into midfield. I agree. Enzo shouldn't have played that far up because kind of them areas Palmer might come into.
Yeah.
Where he's Enzo occupying that space. You know what I mean? So play Enzo a bit deeper. If not, let him hold bench. Like, I'm not gonna be shameless enough to be like he has to play. If he's not performing, let him be on the bench.
Yeah.
Palmer does well when he has someone holding the width more than he has to. If he has Gusto on that side, he's a lot more dangerous because he can go outside, he can commit. But again, do I think he's going to be a system player? Look, I don't know. I don't think so. I just think he has too much quality to be like restricted in one position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And listen, for me, I think Palmer can still do a good job on the right. I think, listen, if I've watched a lot of football this weekend, innit, and all across the board, so many players, you can tell they're not fully fit at the moment. It's going to take a few games. I think it's going to take at least five to 10 games in to see a lot of these guys start to play like how they were last season. Like even Jackson, he didn't look fully fit himself. Like he just came back from an ankle injury. They need to get their fitness. And like I said, it's not just Chelsea players. I'm seeing Arsenal players. I'm seeing United players. I'm seeing City players. These lot need to get their fitness back. They're human. That's what people forget. These lot are not robots, bro. They're human beings, you know? But I wanted to quickly touch upon, obviously, what happened with the fans at the stadium, bro. Obviously, I was there. Like I said, it was just embarrassing. You know, I was sitting in Matthew Harding with Alex big himself up. And behind me, I can hear some people complaining, oh, this is sorry ball. You know, hurry up, play the ball into the midfield. You know, I'm hearing people singing Conor Gallagher. You know, to be fair, they only sang it for like 10 seconds and it didn't really catch on. But that's just embarrassing to me, bro, because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, we're here to support the team. Whether you agree with what's going on at the moment, be here to support the team, bro. Don't be booing them. Don't be doing things to put them off their game. Because as soon as we lose, you're going to be shouting at these guys and why can't we win the game and all of that, you know? And then when they're saying to play the ball into the midfield, I'm looking at Man City. They had a very good shape off the ball, bro. They were closing off so many passing lanes, you know? In this sort of system, you're going to see the likes of Colwell. You're going to see the likes of Fofana just putting their foot on the ball sometimes, waiting to draw the press. And then before you know it, we're countering these guys. You know what I'm trying to say? But Jem, what did you think of the other day, bro? The fans booing and you know, not really trying to give Maresca a chance, bro. What did you think of these toxic fans, man?
Well, I caused a bit of an abrupt yesterday when I done my live on the Chelsea, well, on both Chelsea Fan TV and JC. I brought it up and it caused a bit of a stir in the chat. But for me personally, I just think it's very, when your manager's this first game, well, all right, second game, barring the Inter Milan game, second game at the stadium, and he's turning around looking at the fans going like that at 28 minutes in, you know there's something not right. Because, you know, us as fans, the one big thing that we should be doing is getting behind what was, by the way, the team that was put out yesterday was the youngest team in Premier League history, by the way, that we actually put out there, yeah, against the best Man City team, or the best team in England for God knows for the last 5 years. You know, they want to sit there and forget about the opposition. They want to forget about where we are in terms of new manager, new system. They want to forget about that we have these young players that need that energy. And let me tell you something, when you've got the fans, and I've been there, you've been there, Don, when the fans are behind the players and the energy's there and it's going off and the Matthew, I understand, they're banging on the sides and everything's going crazy. You see it on the pitch. They feel it. They're like, yeah, you know, and it wakes them up. But if you're just going to sit there going, he's not even there. Like,
he's not even there, bro. This what kills me about it. They're standing there. They're standing FC, but they're crying about a guy that doesn't start for Arsenal, who are competing for the league right now. Doesn't start for Man City, who are on the verge of doing a 5-peat right now. Doesn't start for Liverpool. It doesn't start for any of these teams that we're trying to beat at the moment. But they're treating him as if he's a god, all because it's from Cobham, ripping the soul out of the club, as if Roman never used to shift all of these guys, bro. As if Roman never used to have 40 players out on loan at one time, bro. As if Roman never used to dump some of these guys at the worst clubs, bro, after sending them out on loan about 15 times. And then before you know it, their career's done because they haven't been developed properly.
At the end of the day, you know? The more that you sit there going, moaning when they've got the ball at the back and stuff, the more they're just going to make mistakes because they're going to feel the energy. The energy is just wrong. It's like anything, isn't it? When you get the wrong energy, it makes you feel awkward. Like, you know, like they're not behind us here. Like, I need to be careful what I'm doing. Like, these are little things why I'm saying the fans need to give it time and they need to just get behind the players right now. And listen, everyone's got their agendas on players in the Chelsea fan base. They all do. Yeah, I don't like this one. He's my favourite, whatever. But sometimes you just got to put that aside and think about the club and go, these are the players playing for our club. They need us. Get behind them. That's it. You know,
Facts.
do what we're meant to be doing as fans. We don't pay 40, 50, 60, 70 quid and just
100.
moan. Meant to be going there and, you know, enjoying our days and getting behind them. Like, I don't understand.
You know what I don't like as well? Because that point, and then you'll have those same fans try to diss fans that are overseas. Say, "Oh, I've gone to so many more matches than you, and you've never been to Stamford Bridge." But bro, we have one of the worst stadium atmospheres in the league. You know, the players always say they like to play away more than they play at home. So all this bragging that you go to the field, to the stadium, that don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean shit. So, you know, do something about it. It's very toxic in the fan base, and it's a lot of the younger generation, but there are older people as well who participate in that toxic situation with the club, and it needs to stop. You know, it's been going on for 3-4 years now, and it really needs to stop because it's starting to affect the team like on a personal level, and you know that's when you're really hitting a threshold where it's like you're fucking up the game literally. So
100%, bro, 100%. And Bobby says here, possession-based football is not welcome here. That's not good football. You guys will learn about Bobby real soon, innit? Because Bobby does not like these owners. You know, Bobby doesn't really see a future for these guys doing what they're doing at the moment. But CJ, what do you think of his take, bro? About possession-based football. I'm guessing he thinks that's boring, but that's ironic considering when we had Mourinho, we used to win a lot with him, and he used to play boring football as well. But what do you think of Bobby's take, bro?
You know what it is, bro? I think like football in general is just kind of moving into a direction where fans want to be entertained, right? You want to see good football in a sense. This whole ping pong football, like you call it, back and forth, looking like everybody's just doing whatever they want to do. Like at some points, yeah, it's entertaining, but we're trying to build something long term where it's like, yeah, you can still play the possession football, but then you can still speed it up, right? So I just don't understand this whole possession football is now welcome. The best teams play that way for the most part. The teams that we've watched back in the day, we still watch now. That's how they play. You know what I mean? Spain just won the Euros, and they could play possession football, and they could still hit you on the counter. Like, the best teams do it. Man City have been doing this for, what, 4 years in a row. Guess what? 4 league titles. So it works. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, the results show that kind of football works. And even when Roman was here, that's the kind of football he wanted to play anyway. Yeah, he went and hired some, you know, the Mourinhos and Contes of the world. But even so, when we had Conte, we still were able to like possess the ball a bit. So I just don't understand this. What does he want it to be? Counter-attacking every time? Do you want it to just be back and forth, back and forth? Bro, we want to be entertained. And look, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, it looks like this is what the owners want to do. Hence why Maresca's here. We just got to back it, bro. We just have to back it.
100%, bro. 100%, man. And obviously, before the game, we saw a massive statement from Sterling. Obviously, his team weren't happy about the decision to leave him out. And Maresca came out and said it was just a technical decision. There's nothing else to say. Managers are paid to make decisions, and sometimes players don't like it. You know, like I keep saying, these players, bro, they've got a lot of they've got egos. We're men. End of the day, they're men. You know what I'm trying to say? But I didn't agree with Sterling coming out before the game doing that, because for me, it wasn't like he was disrespected. You know, he didn't make the squad because the manager, you know, felt maybe Mudryk was better in training, or he preferred to play other people. And obviously the game plan that day wasn't to play wingers, to start wingers. So there wasn't really much space on the bench for him. But at the same time, you know, the owners might have as well. They might be trying to get rid of him because of his wages. This guy's on 325k a week. We're never going to know, you know. But, you know, right now, what we can all agree on is that Sterling has been underwhelming during his time at Chelsea. I know he's had a decent pre-season, but he's one that I'm looking to move on because of how much he's on and what we actually get from him as well. And I think he's only getting worse. I'd rather we, you know, we keep developing the likes of Mudryk and the likes of Madueke and these sort of guys. Obviously, João Felix is here now, so it looks like Sterling will be pushed out. But AJ, what did you make of Sterling's statement the other day, bro? Did you agree with it?
If you want to make a statement, then, you know, that's fairly normal. But making a statement, you know, in the hours before the game, an hour before the game, you know, it's kind of like you know, it just leaves a bad taste in all the fans' mouth. It's like, why are you doing this now? You see what we're dealing with. We're playing the best team in the league. It's the first game of the season. You've played over 10 Premier League seasons. You're missing the first game. That's fine. Put the statement out after the game. Let the game play out, then put the statement out. You know, I mean, you put the statement out right before the game, you get the most impact because now it's controversial. You understand? So I don't know if that's what they were going for, if they wanted to bring hyper awareness to it. So they decided to do that. But the timing is just wrong, man. And it's he shouldn't have did that. I'll just leave it at that. That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. What's your take on that as well, CJ? Did you agree with that statement he put out?
No, I don't. Like, bro, at the end of the day, no one's bigger than the club, right? You happen to be one of the most experienced players in this team. And for the majority of your time at this club, you haven't really taken on that role. So I'm sorry. The manager can decide, I don't want Sterling in the match they scored today. I don't want Palmer in the match they scored today. It is what it is. You know, again, you have to understand, like, if we have options on the bench as well, they're going to be the others like the Sassis and, you know, these other dudes who ain't picked. Does everyone have to come out and kick a fuss then? Does everybody who doesn't get picked now put out a statement? I want to understand what my future is. Like, yo, if the manager decides, I don't want you on the match that scored because it's technical or whatever reasons, then so be it. If you're not in the team next week and the week after, then you can, you know, put out all of these things because then now we understand there might be potentially a problem brewing that we don't know about. But like that first match day, you ain't in, and then you post this out. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just for that, bro, you gotta go. I'm sorry.
100%, bro.
Yeah.
100%, bro. Jem, what do you think of Sterling coming out doing that, man?
I don't really know. I just think it's very, very weird timing in all of it, to be quite honest with you, especially on knowing that we're all going into a game as well. It's just very unusual for them to come out and make that comment. You know, you'd have usually waited for the game to finish and then maybe even at the end of the game, you know, drop the statement. Yeah, fine. Like, but before a game, it's just very unusual. And I don't know, because you listen to Maresca's comments towards it as well, and he said it was a tactical thing. And it's like, but then why has he got his agents or whoever coming out saying that? Why would they come? Do you know what I mean? It was just very confusing it for me. So it didn't make a lot of sense. So I don't know. I think he's maybe on the firing lines because of his wages. He takes 20K a week, I think, maybe a bit more.
325K a week in London.
Which is a lot of money. At the end of the day, the one thing we know for sure about these owners is that they're trying to reduce that bill. Like, that's a fact. You know what I mean? They don't want to be paying these guys that ain't married 300K a week like Lukaku's going to be going. They want him off the book. So maybe they're just trying to find suitors for him and they just want to pull him out the squad. And Maresca, fair play to him. He's probably thinking, I don't want you around in the team if we're actually thinking of selling you. I want people that are going to be playing for us in the long term, working together, chemistry. Do you know what I mean? So fair to him.
Yeah. And just listen, it looks like we've got someone here. We've got Big Jow. You know what I'm trying to say? Fijwada eating Jow, yeah? Back at the club, Jem. Your best friend is back. He's completed his medical, you know, back in London, you know, back to play with some real ballers this time around. Not bums like Mason Mount, not bums like Gallagher, not bums like Havertz that were doing a madness when he was trying to play with them, trying to, you know, do a little tick-a-tacker, do a little jinky-jinky. These guys can't do it because they're not on the same wavelength as him. But what do you think of the signing of Felix, Jem? Now that you've had a little bit of time to think about it, obviously we caught up last week when the news broke quite late, and obviously you weren't too keen on it. But now that you've had like a little bit of time to take in the news, what have you kind of changed your take on it? Are you more open to the move?
I'm fine with him coming to Chelsea. I said I'd clean the slate to give him an opportunity because I was told by a lot of Chelsea fans that the reason that we didn't see the best of Felix is because he didn't have better players around him. Well, guess what? We've got better players around now, so that means he needs to perform. And listen, if it is for 30 million or 36 million or what it is, fine, because we've got Gallagher. We sold Gallagher for 36, I think it was anyway, wasn't it? So, like, I understand it. My only thing with him, and I will continue with it, even back then when he first come, is his output needs to improve. And you can't sit there and tell me that his output levels are good enough for the player that a lot of people see who this guy is, in my opinion. And when you look at his stats, 8 goals, 7 goals, 9 goals, 8 goals a season, he's not really good. And he's playing maybe 35, 40 games a season. Whether he's coming off the bench or not, that's still a lot of games, you know. So for me, I want him to come to Chelsea. I want him to listen. I like parts of his game. Even when he was at Chelsea, I even spoke to you about this. I like the way he carries the ball. I like the way he maneuvers in tight spaces. He's got that dribbling ability to be able to carry the ball, link play. Maybe we'll see a better version of him because now he's got the Palmers who's got the vision to play the balls more, or in Nkunku's that will make the runs off him or whatever. Like maybe we'll see that. But in terms of when he runs to the final third, if he is categorically getting the majority of our chances because he's maybe starting them and like he did for Chelsea and finding himself near enough finishing them at the end, I need to see him converting. That's it. That's what I want from him to do. And if he starts doing that, then I have no issues about that, about him being in around and in the team. But I'm going to give him a clean slate, and I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch his game. That's it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. For me, he's got a lot of pressure this time around because, like I kept telling you before, I think Felix is talented, but he's not someone that you can depend on because his end product ain't great. You know, I always said, even back then when we had him, I said, bro, if you put him in a team like Man City right now, he'll cook for them because you're not dependent on him. He's like a cherry on the cake. You know what I'm trying to say? On top of the cake. But AJ, what do you think of obviously Felix coming in? Like, do you think that this is a signing that we needed? Because we've got a lot of players in between the lines, bro. Dewsbury Hall, you can play Caicedo there, Palmer there, and Nkunku there. And there's a concern at the moment. It's like, yo, we're just kind of stockpiling at the moment. What are you? Do you agree with that, bro, or are you more for the move as well?
I think two things can be true. I do think we are stockpiling, kinda, but at the same time, you see that in the background. I don't know. Is that my mic making that noise? You hear that?
I think it's CJ. You know, CJ. I've just had to mute you there for a sec, bro.
Okay.
It was crackling a little bit. Yeah. I think we'll
I think. And in terms of the move, you know, we don't know what else is going on with Sterling, Mudryk, Chukwuemeka. We have a couple players that still need to go, so I guess Felix can come and take that one spot and we move on maybe 3 or 4 players. So I do think there is space for him, but in terms of is it what we need? We clearly need a striker. We clearly need a number 1 goalie. I don't know if Jorgensen is going to end up being world class, you know, hopefully for the club, hopefully he becomes world class, but Felix is not the need, but it is a quality player that we're bringing in. He's also played at the club before, and he had a decent time at the club. He didn't score the most goals, but as well, also we were in kind of a funny situation, you know? So I think there are a lot of positives, you know, especially he's young, you know, he can strike the ball. He is creative. He's played in the Premier League before. I'd say he's better than Mudryk, you know. He has a higher ceiling at this point than Sterling, you know. So there are a lot of things that he can bring into the game for the team. So I do think, you know, and on top of that, the pricing, you know, we getting him for nothing. You know, we sold Conor Gallagher for X amount of money. We're putting maybe 5 to 10 mil on top to get Felix, you know. So it's like, what is that? You know, if you work with money, you spend money, you buy things every day, you know, like, oh, I'll trade something that I don't really want for something that's like $10 more. You know, you'll work with that. Yeah. So I think it's decent business. That's what I say.
100%, bro. And you know, what's so funny about rivals as well. And obviously Jamie Carragher, you know, all these players just signing for Chelsea. It's a mess over there. I'm looking at it like, brother, last season when we had all these unknown players on the bench, it's like, oh, who are these guys? Chelsea are falling off. Now we're trying to build from the ground up. So we've got the likes of Felix on the bench, the likes of Dewsbury Hall on the bench, the likes of Tosin, the likes of Badia Shield. All of these guys that can actually do something. Yeah, it's a problem as well. But CJ, what do you think Felix can actually bring to the team, bro? And are you for the signing as well?
Nah, definitely. You know, I even said this when I did my own video. It's like we didn't really go in because we wanted Felix. We went in for Felix because the Samu deal broke down. So I think one of the things people tend to forget is it was a 1-for-1. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like we just had to sell Connor to them. They wanted us to take someone off of them. If you gave me the option of these 2 guys, I'm taking Felix all day and all night. I'm sorry. Samu is just not what we need. Felix, we've already had him. Like you said, when he came into the club, he played with the likes of your Mounts, your Gallagher's, your Havertz. Now, for me, I think we've upgraded in that department. So now his skill set and what he could do. I think seeing Felix playing these 1-2s with your Jacksons and Nkunku's, knowing he could get that ball back, making these runs, being able to be found by someone like a Palmer. Look, I'm cool with this, okay? Felix for Samu all day, I'm calm. I'm for the deal. I understand that, okay, you can say we have too many options. But when has competition ever been a problem? Like the likes of Real Madrid have them.
Bro, the other day I'm seeing Gula on the bench. I'm seeing Endrick on the bench. I'm seeing Brahim Diaz on the bench. I'm seeing all of these ballers that can be starting for them on the bench, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Big teams have people who can come in and still kind of maintain the levels. If you decide you don't want to play Nkunku and Palmer in the 10 row, Felix can come in and still keep the level to a certain degree compared to what we might have had. And I'm sorry, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were all screaming that Mudryk and Sterling weren't options to take us into the season. So how do you upgrade with Neto and Felix and still have something to complain about? Like, he adds something to this team that not a lot of guys in this team have, just his skill set particularly. Now, how he helps the team, that's on Maresca to find out. I'm not a coach. He has to figure out how to play these guys to their strengths. But for the deal, look, if rivals are hating on it, it just means they know that he's a good player.
Of course. Bro, most of these guys in the top 6 are taking Felix. Even if they're not going to start him, they're taking him for their bench. And that's the main thing for me. You've hit the nail on the head. For me, Felix starting games, I'm happy with it, and I'm happy with him coming off the bench as well. If you guys remember when we went to Old Trafford, and we played United, and he came off the bench and he scored. Because remember when Lampard came in, Lampard didn't really like him because I don't think he liked his work rate off the ball, you know. But yeah, I think he can be key for the team going forward. But there was another rumor that came out, which again, this is something which just isn't going away. We keep getting linked to this guy time and time again. And I honestly don't see this happening. Apparently, some people at Man United see Chelsea making a move for Jadon Sancho. And just on the player, listen, I like Sancho. He was one of the best young players when he was coming through at Dortmund. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I remember when he played against PSG in the Champions League COVID season, yeah? Bro, he was the best player on the pitch. And Neymar was on the pitch. You know what I'm trying to say? So for me, I've always rated his ability. And when he went to United, I was like, yo, why are you going over there with Oli, bro? You're obviously going there for the money. There's no clear plan for you to be going back there. I'm looking at that team. It wasn't really a team that was built for a guy like Sancho, you know. And obviously they must have sold him a dream and thought, and told him, yeah, we're going to build around you. But that never happened. You know, we haven't seen the Jadon Sancho that we were seeing at Dortmund, you know. But right now, for me, I just don't feel like he's the sort of signing that we need at the minute. Right wing, you've got Madueke there. You've still got Sterling, who hasn't been moved on. Next season, we're going to have Esteval come in. You've got Payet that can also play on the right as well. Even though I think he'll be used more centrally, he can also play on the right. So I'm looking at the position, bringing Felix in as well. I don't see where the room is for Jadon Sancho. And at the same time, he's on what, 350k a week. Our average wages have been dropped to 70k per week. So realistically, I don't see this happening unless he drops his wages and we get rid of a lot of people. Maybe it will happen towards the end of the window. But
we don't want Jadon Sancho. Just to jump in there, we don't want Jadon Sancho. Maybe 5 years ago, you understand, but now at this point, we don't want Jadon Sancho. And I'm not saying he's a bad player because I do think he's a good player, but I don't know if he works in the EPL. And on top of that, we already have enough people in those positions. You understand? It's like, is he better than Neto? Would you guys say he's better than Neto?
No, not direct. No way.
Would you say he's better than João Felix? Is he better than João Felix?
Yes.
I'll say they're comparable.
They're more comparable. They're more comparable.
There could be an argument,
but I think he's much better than João Felix. I think he's superior to João Felix.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
superior to him.
João Felix is one of 3 ultimate comp players. Honestly, he's just a comp player. Is João Felix?
But you comparing them in different leagues. We've seen both of them in the English Premier League. Who's provided more in the English Premier League?
It's a fair point.
I'd say they're pretty similar, aren't they, in the English Premier League?
No way.
So then they're comparable either way. Then
I say they're comparable, but we already got Felix, and we're used to Felix. You understand? So it makes more sense to.
No, we're not. We're not, because as you said, This is he's not played with these players, so we're not used to
come on, smoke, you know.
whatsoever.
I understand that. Certain people just don't like him. The fact of the matter is, he's been here and he's had decent moments for Chelsea. You understand? So it doesn't make sense to bring somebody who's had decent moments for United to Chelsea. It just wouldn't make sense.
I'm not trying to be the Messiah. I'm trying to be saving people time and time again.
I don't think you can call that his period. I don't think you can call that period where we were struggling to get to 40 points as a team as João Felix having successful bits here at Chelsea. Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
we were struggling.
Okay, you add in a lot of context.
He did not listen. This is how. Okay, I'll add in. Listen. I would say, listen. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just struggling with how he's going to play. That's all. Because I think in the 10 role, I think Nkunku and Palmer are better than him in the 10 role. Do you know what I mean? I think they're better than him in the 10 role. Is he really a wide player? I know Barcelona played him wide and Portugal sometimes playing wide. And I don't think he does his best work out there wide. So you're going to play him as a false 9?
Does Sancho do his best work as a touchline winger?
I've seen him do it multiple times in the Champions League for Dortmund. I saw him rip up Barcelona.
He wasn't.
I've seen him doing more times than João Felix. That's all. And listen, my statement of João Felix was I'm not high on him is really just prove me wrong. That's all. Just prove me wrong. I want him to succeed, but I think we've been blackmailed into buying him by Atletico Madrid.
It's clearly a business agreement.
Yeah, exactly. You got to buy someone, or else we're not buying Gallagher. And we've gone, well, who do we know best? Okay, João Felix didn't really cause any upset, which is good, and I'm glad. I'm glad he's wanting to come back and he wants to lower his wages and stuff like that. I'm glad, but I think it makes more sense if I see like at more outgoings, then it makes more sense in buying him. If I see a Sterling and Madueke go out, no one's going to take Mudryk, so that fantasy's gone. Something like that. Then I'll be going, okay, it makes more sense. If Madueke stays, João Felix becomes a bench player, right? Anyway, because you don't see him starting over like a fully fit Neto, a fully fit Palmer, a fully fit Nkunku, and hopefully an Osimhen. He just doesn't start, right? So it becomes a bench option. Is he going to be happy with that? Well, let's just see it. But it is a good option to have. I'm not going to say that. It is a good option to have. Then those NPCs during halfway through last season where there was like 9 of them and we didn't know who their names were. Do you know what I mean? So it is good. It is a good option to have. I hope he proves us wrong. More importantly, Gallagher's gone. More importantly, Gallagher's gone. That's the more important bit. Gallagher's gone.
Sancho looks like one of those guys who probably plays better when he's not in England. Evidently, from his 2 stints at Dortmund, he came back to the Premier League, didn't really set the league on fire, went back to Dortmund, and still looked close to what he was. So it's potentially able to say like, all right, you know what? Maybe he just doesn't like it in the league. Maybe he's just one of those guys that the league does not suit him. So when it comes to between him and Felix, for me, I think they're comparable because it's kind of like we don't need either of them either way. You know what I mean? And again, when Felix's time here, he had somewhat of an impact onto this team. More likely, like you look at Neto. He's not someone you really consider a G&A type of like player, but you look at the fundamentals and just what he brings to your team. Like Felix has always been that guy who could take on a man, create space for others. Final ball's always kind of lacking. You know what I mean? And when you look at Sancho's time in the Premier League, he hasn't really done much as well. So if I had to take either of them, I'm probably only going to stay with Felix because I've seen him do something slightly better in the league than Sancho has. But if we're being realistic, we don't need either of them. So again, Sancho, this move wouldn't make sense because we keep saying we already have too many options anyway. Why add Sancho on top of what we already got? Like,
exactly, bro. Exactly.
2 people got to leave, bro. Like at this point, 2 people are gonna have to leave. You're gonna have to sell Madueke you're probably gonna have to get rid of Mudryk because, again, Sancho, would he really play off the left when you have Neto? Maybe not. Right? If you want to move Palmer centrally, you want to put Sancho.
Coming in next summer as well.
Yeah, the Sancho move just makes no sense.
With the Sanchez move, I just heard that it actually it all falls on what I've been told. It just all falls on Madueke because we've had some bids for him apparently. So it just depends if we get rid of Madueke, which, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really keen on us doing.
We can't get rid of Madueke, and we can't get rid of Madueke and bring in Sancho because they're two different profiles. Yeah. With Sancho, he is a different profile. Yeah, we don't really have anyone apart from Neto that can really take on their man and beat their man. Sancho is more get the ball, play it with someone else, make those combinations and create for the attackers. That's what he's like, and he's got a decent finish on him as well. But in terms of trying to be explosive and be touchline and that, Sancho's not as good as Madueke when it comes to that. I'll be real, but I think he's a better footballer than him. I think he's more technical than Madueke, but Madueke brings a different profile that we don't really have apart from a Neto, apart from a Sterling, these sort of guys. But Sterling, it looks like he's leaving. You know what I'm trying to say? But just to finish up, Andrew, we've got a question here from the Feld Wizard. Big yourself up for the donation, my bro. He says, do you think the club will actually give Maresca time? I am done with chopping and changing, and these young guys need consistency.
So here's the thing. I've said all along. What I don't like is the mixed messaging coming out from up the top, right? Like I said, can't ask for a top 4 and a trophy and then bring me Maresca. Do you know what I mean? That's wanting to try and achieve that. The fans will change if they see the board not being trigger finger happy if we go for a bad run. Yeah, that's what I mean. They can't. At the end of this, they've committed 5 years to this guy, so that would mean to tell me that they're willing to go through the ups and downs with this guy, or they should be able to. So whether we go like on a 6-game winless run where we draw 2 and lose 4, they have to back him. Don't even come out and say you're going to back him, because I hate that dreaded thing. Just move it along. That if then the board are committed to him, then hopefully the fans see it as well, because we're used to it. These guys have always come in. Every manager they've hired, oh yeah, we're going to back him, want to see him go through, and then they sack him. You know what I mean? So it's mixed messaging once again. Just all you have to do is just back him. Like I said, get him the players in now, because I feel we're buying all these players because we're going to get a transfer ban soon. That's why I feel we're buying all these players. Do you know what I mean? Because of past stuff that happened in the previous regime. So just back him with the amount of players that we have, and let's go from there. And then it's on him. You know what I mean?
Exactly that, bro. Exactly that. We can't. People. One thing you need to realize: we can't just keep managers for keeping them sake. Like if they're not showing us any progression, we're just getting worse, bro. Sometimes you just got to cut your losses and realize that you made a mistake. But if Maresca can clearly show that he's progressing, he's improving players, and the results aren't coming straight away, he will get more time, bro. Like the other day against Man City, that performance, I walked away from that and I feel like I'm already looking forward to the next game as well. But just to finish off, people, we've got one more comment here from Unlimited Dreamer. Big up Don CFC and big up the panel. Big yourself up, my bro. But listen, we've still got 360 people in the house. People, still keep smashing up the lights, man. Yeah, we're going to touch 3K real soon. Like I said, the content's going to keep flying in, But CJ, solid debut, man. Definitely going to get you back on, bro. Let them know where they can find you, my bro.
So you can find me on FKC TV. I think I got about like 60-some subs. Videos are coming out. Just find me there. Follow the channel and support Don's channel as well.
Love, man. And Andrew, let them know where they can find you, bro. I know you were quite busy with work and stuff.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Do apologize. Yeah, honestly, first world issues. But yeah, follow me at the Winter Surfer. I'll tweet out what I'm on, or I'll tweet out if you go and watch this stuff and like that. But yeah, I'm usually on most of the Chelsea channels: Casually FC, Sarcasm City, Carefree Lewis, stuff like that. But more importantly, like CJ just said, like, share this video, and subscribe. He's near 3K, so get this going.
Exactly, people. Exactly. But listen, till the next one, man. In a bit, up the Chels every single time. Love.
See you, fellas.